So if you clicked on this video, you are probably thinking to yourself, what genius would possibly make a video on a 5-year-old game? Why would anyone care to watch a video on such an old game? I think there are times you play a game and you get exactly what you expected. And then there are of course games that disappoint you, and that level of disappointment can vary. But we are not here to talk about bad shit today. No sir. Today we are all about the positivity and happiness. So what about the game that more than exceeds your expectations? What about the game that fixed all the things you didn't like in the original? What about the game you mistakenly thought was more of the same and somehow manages to be everything but that? Ladies and gentlemen, that is what this video is about. You can say that this is a review, but you can also say that this is a discussion on a game that should have gotten more praise. If you are new here, we talk about anime and gaming topics. We also do reviews on anime conventions. Please consider hitting that subscribe button if any of that sounds remotely intriguing to you. With that out of the way, let's take a moment to dissect the 2017 sequel to Evil Within. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the channel. I am Ryofu, and you are watching The Gaming Harbinger. In 2014, Shinji Mikami releases his first game after departing Capcom, titled The Evil Within. It was a very Resident Evil-esque experience, but that was expected since the man has directed multiple Resident Evil games. It had its own version of a powerful evil megacorporation, as well as mutated and zombified monsters, obligatory crazy man with a chainsaw, chase sequences, sexy nurses. Wait, did Resident Evil have that? I have played so many damn games lately, I really just don't remember. Anyhow, you get the idea. So the game got solid reviews, but I remember playing and there were moments of insta-kills, the game having this weird letterbox that made the screen much smaller. I can't remember if they did a patch for this or if it was only just for the DLC, but they did eventually give you an option to remove the black bars. Of course, doing this let the screen fill up entirely, and you ended up with a slightly blurry version of Evil Within. The black borders disguised the fact that it was running at 900p on the Xbox One. I also just remember the game feeling slightly more challenging than a Resident Evil game. Maybe I'm just a scrub, who knows? I didn't think the game was Dark Souls hard or anything like that, but it did feel less forgiving than a modern day Resident Evil game. The point is that I finished it, but by the end I was okay with the game being over. In fact, once I finished the DLC, I immediately uninstalled the game. I didn't even consider a second playthrough. I thought about disarming bombs, traps that could kill you in one hit, sparse ammo, that weird letterbox thing, not to mention dying a lot. And I thought, you know, I'm fine. I'm good, man. I'm done with that. We can move on. Now, with all that being said, I love the imagery in the game. The Keeper is a fascinating boss that has a safe on top of his head, and if you hide in a space that he can't fit in, he would kill himself by snapping his neck so he can be reborn again and teleport right next to you. That was sick. I mean, just how brutal and dark the game can be is very intriguing to me. So we have a Resident Evil-like game with a leveling system. Sign me up, that sounds great. Definitely things I enjoyed, but once it was over, I wasn't sad it was time to move on. So the shocker is that when the sequel released in 2017, I felt like I wasn't in the mood, I wasn't in the vibe. I felt like I wasn't ready to jump back into the fray. Nearly 5 years later, I play a game made by the same team, Ghostwire Tokyo. Perhaps you heard of it. I was really moved by the ending of Ghostwire so much so I had to know how the sequel to Evil Within 2 panned out. Let me tell you something. You know when you expect to enjoy something but it beyond exceeds your expectations? Let's take it a step further. You know when a sequel to a game comes out and you think of every problem you had with the original game and you're like, if there is a heaven, get rid of that stupid letterbox thing. Damn it, man. Get rid of the insta-kills. Get rid of the bombs. It's okay if the game is challenging, but cheap deaths are just never fun. No one likes them. At least I don't. And then just like that, all your prayers are answered. What's that you say? It never happens? Well, I think you would be wrong with feeling that way, sir. I want to say around the time this game came out, I didn't hear anyone praise the game. But at the same time, I never heard anyone say it was terrible. My point is that everything that I didn't like in the first game has been removed. Bombs and tripwires can be made with the crossbow, but they only affect enemies now. Thank God. Now, there are quote-unquote segments in the game where you can die by one hit. Let's call these the chase sequences. If whatever enemy is chasing you and you get caught, you are gonna die and start at your last autosave. Now, this is one of the early areas in the game that impressed me. Being chased by something that you can't kill sounds like an absolute nightmare. Lots of horror games do this. It's a staple. A stress test of sorts. But Tango Gameworks managed to find the sweet spot. They throw you into these tightly crafted sequences where you can die, but the chase is broken up. This gives you the opportunity to regroup, or even if you were having a really tough time, get through every segment piece by piece. This type of game design is impressive because it gives you the illusion that the sequences are longer than they really are. And there are also things in place to help you hide again in case you make a mistake or someone has seen you. The game is doing the opposite of the original. They want you to be frightened by the Fatal Frame ghost or whatever, but they don't want you dying and replaying a 3-minute segment for 20 minutes. They want to convey the fear and terror, but they want to throw you into a cutscene, and then into a chase sequence, and then back to exploring. But all of this even exceeds past just awesome chase scenes. There are barrels, empty bottles, vehicles, and bushes to help assist you when you bump into enemies. There is a very simple ability you can purchase where if an enemy grabs you, Sebastian will use one of his bottles and hit the zombie in the head. It doesn't do a lot of damage, but it does allow you to escape or reposition yourself if you were blindsided. You also have access to melee attacks. The knife is good for mainly breaking boxes and executions, but I wouldn't fight even a bottom dweller level enemy head on. I just wouldn't do that. But you can sometimes find axes that do massive damage. Only problem is with these, you can only use them once. When you are first starting the game, it does kind of feel like their original all over again. It doesn't take much to be put in these 2 or even 3 versus 1 scenarios, which of course, that happening compounded with you not having much ammo, yeah, it can feel a little intense. But the truth is that all of the things I mentioned earlier are there to help you survive, help you to conserve ammo, help you to hide from enemies. These things have been placed strategically so that even when you feel you are at a disadvantage, there are items lying around and places to hide. It's really genius. It just feels as if this game was designed with the same difficulty as the original, but has things in place to balance the experience. Once you play through a second or third time, you will see things and think, damn, why did I only use the barrels a few times? I should have used them every time I saw them. When it comes to the story, it feels very Resident Evil-y. Yeah, you heard me say it, don't make me repeat it. It has the evil mega corporation side to it, but it also has a side where you are wondering if this worn out detective can make it out of all of this. It shows us a very human side of a man trying to reclaim his family that was lost. I also just want to say the spiritual growth and acceptance that Sebastian comes to by the end of the game is very touching. I really appreciate when you see a character having to accept and forgive his or herself for mistakes they made. I'm not trying to imply that this is God-tier storytelling or anything like that, but I think it serves as a catalyst to make you feel for Sebastian and hope he can see the light at the end of the tunnel. In fact, if I were to be completely honest, I hope if there is another evil within, that it doesn't include Sebastian. Let him ride off into the sunset and go back to being a father. He suffered enough. Going back to the items being placed strategically, there is a character in the game that, if you save him, he can unlock chests from the evil mega corporation. But you could also accidentally lose him and access to all the chests that he unlocks. However, even if you lose him, it doesn't mean the game is going to be 10 times harder. It just means you lose out on some weapon upgrades and some ammo. But you can still make it through the game just fine without his help. That is what we call great game design. Did I tell you there are 2 mini games in this? One is a target practice mode where you can unlock material for upgrades. There is another mode that's kind of similar to Candy Crush, or at least that's how I would describe it. You shoot a panel and it'll destroy all the similar panels connected to it. It's kind of addictive, but according to the nurse, I need a lot of work on this.
I don't mean to discourage you, Detective, but that left much to be desired.
You can get some green gel and weapon materials for this. Aside from that, I find it really interesting having something like this in the game. It's pretty entertaining, I can't even lie about it. So let's take a moment to talk about the level design in the game. When I started playing this game, I thought it was a mini open world. The more I played, I began to realize the game gives you the illusion of a big area with multiple side quests, but the game is actually very linear. And just to be clear, I'm not trying to imply this game gives the illusion of an Assassin's Creed open world set. Not that at all. But it does give the illusion of choice. It makes you think you can start any side quests at any point. You don't have to kill every enemy. You can run and hide from a bunch of them. But if you do kill them, you get some green gel that can be used to level your character's abilities. So that dynamic of how many do you kill versus how many do you leave alive is all up to you. But the truth is that the first area is a large location that you'll have to backtrack through a couple of times in the game. And each time the enemies might change, or there might be a chase sequence incorporated in the segment. There are other areas besides this first one, but this one comes off as the biggest. And also, this is one that gives you the idea of the overall pacing of the game. So the bosses and mini bosses in the game are insane. You can tell that someone at Capcom was telling Shinji, you need to take this out. You need to remove this. Or you're doing too much in this section here. Get rid of it. All this was happening. I'm totally speculating on this. I'm totally winging this, but I believe that this is what was happening when he was working on Resident Evil titles. I say that because some of the enemy designs in this game are absolutely insane. I'm not even talking about them being super scary or anything like that. I mean, they are scary, but I'm talking about they are just crazy and wild designs that no other human being could have imagined. It's like he threw the kitchen sink at this game and he let his imagination run wild.
Meet my beautiful Obscura.
Restart sequence.
You gotta be kidding me.
Sequence will complete in 90 seconds.
That thing is stopping the emitter from activating. Got it going. I just have to hold it off. There she is. Oh, God.
This man right here, shout out to him creating something called the Obscura. My only complaint is that there is a Fatal Frame ghost that sings to you. That's kind of adorable. But then there's the Evil Within version of the Tyrant. Every time I see her, she is always laughing. It's starting to get to me, man.
What kind of man are you?
What makes it even worse is it's the kind of laugh where she really seems to be enjoying herself. And it's like, what's so funny? What's the joke? I missed the joke. Stem is out of control. The area you're in is halfway burnt to the ground. What is so damn funny?
Insecure man.
So part of the reason I am making this video is because after playing it, I was impressed by how polished and refined it was, so I had to know the Metacritic score. If you want me to be completely honest with you, I find it entertaining to read reviews. As some of you already know about me, I do review anime and video games, but I don't put numbers on things. I want you to watch my videos and listen to me explain what I liked and what I disliked. I don't want you waiting or skipping to the very end to see an arbitrary number. So I don't get bothered by review scores. With that being said, however, Evil Within 2 deserved a much higher score. There are games that get described as good or solid along with a game like Evil Within 2. The problem is that it's a damn good game. An extremely polished game. One caveat I will give is that I am playing it 5 years later. I am aware of this. I don't know how bad it performed or if the game crashed when it was initially released. So I am playing the best version of the game on the Xbox One X. I just want to say this so you know I am aware I am playing the game fully patched. But I guess what I'm really trying to say is, if we're gonna give Resident Evil 2 Remake such a high score, we should have given this game a score close to it, if not the same. I say that as a Resident Evil fan and one that loves the remakes. Incoming hot take, by the way. Aside from the Resident Evil 2 and 3 remake having slightly better graphics, I really don't see either of those games as being drastically better. I said it. Ladies and gentlemen, that's going to do it for me. Please let me know down in the comments if I sound like a madman ranting about Evil Within 2, or is your boy onto something? That's what I'm thinking. If you enjoyed this style of video, please also let me know that as well. I wanted to have a different vibe and energy for this video, so I was a little extra. I apologize for that. Of course, you can let me know if you despise this style as well. Also, let me know if you completely disagree with me and you think the first game is a masterpiece with letterbox mode and all, and it's just 20 times better than Evil Within 2. If you are, you're insane. Anyways, I would like to wish you guys happy holidays. I greatly appreciate all the support. Thank you for watching the video to the very end, and I will see you in the next one. Peace out.